Good night, everyone. Welcome here. I think that this is one of the first episodes of this show, or whatever do you prefer to call it. Thanks for being here. I'm trying to bring every possible amazing guest to join me on this. So we have the opportunity to have different discussions about magic, witchcraft, in different topics from different people from different cities, and this will be amazing. Remember that this is your space. This is a safe space. This is a safe place. The idea is that you feel comfortable, you feel represented, your opinions matter here. If you want to contact my guest, buy her books, anything, sorry for that, you can go to the description below and find all the information in there. My guest tonight is this beautiful person that you see here next to me. Is Astrea Taylor.
Hello.
She's an amazing dancer. If you follow her on Instagram, you will know that. She's the author of the, I think it's a very famous book that is Intuitive Witchcraft. I think that every witch knows this book for well. I had the opportunity to start to read it almost 18 months ago. I read it 2 times because it's a very good book. And also she has a new book in the market that is Air Magic. To promote the book, she offered a class for Llewellyn. You can look for the class available on YouTube. And the class was Blow Mind. She just taught for 30 minutes and she blew the minds of everyone in the room. Thank you, Astrea, for staying here tonight.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's so wonderful to be here and to talk to you live. I know we have all these interactions online, and talking to somebody really opens up so much energetic sharing. And I feel like we would have a lot to talk about. Ever since I took your class at the Witches Fest, I was just in awe of everything that you do. And it was so amazing. And so I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, that I was following you from before, but I remember clearly that was our first interaction. I was very nervous because was all the COVID situation. I never before offered classes on English, just in Spanish a lot, but never in English. And it was this virtual space, and they offered me a room to offer the class. And I was very nervous, and I remember that you was in there doing settings and the stuff. You was behind the scenes. Guiding, doing magic. And I remember after the class, I was very nervous, oh, I don't know how I did it, I don't know, I don't feel good, and blah, blah, blah. And you was oh, you was excellent, you was very well, I really like the class, I enjoyed it, I learned a lot. It was wow, if she understands, people understand, so I can breathe now. Breathe is my friend.
Yes,
that
fascinating.
helps me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we are starting to interact in all social media, and I'm following you, and I'm incredibly happy that you have this new book that is Air Magic, because in witchcraft, we always talk about the elements, but we olympically jump the topic. We always find in these books, including mine, oh, you need to call the elements for do this spell. You call all the elements, you think that you are calling the elements, and just that, and you go to the spell. And you make all of this book complete about, okay, this is the element air. Let me work with this, separate, just apart. So tell me about how was for you the process on Intuitive Witchcraft and how you evolved from that to air magic. I need to start to do a question because if not, I can continue talking and talking all the night.
Yeah, so Air Magic, I was so flattered when they asked me to write it, when Llewellyn asked me, and I immediately was like, yes, I'm an air sign, I have an air moon, I have an air Jupiter, and it's in my 9th house in Gemini. And I was like, I relate to air so much, and I've studied a lot of ancient paganism, ever since I was in my teens and early 20s. And what I hadn't studied so much was the traditional stuff. So I went back and looked at all of that, all of the occult history that I hadn't read, and all of the modern witchcraft stuff. And I read as much as I could. I scoured as many books as I could for any reference on air whatsoever. And what I came up with was, the book that really introduces you to the aspect of air as, this invisible ocean that we're all walking in that we just don't acknowledge all the time, but it's there. Like, it's the spirit worlds are right here. We have all these things floating in the air that we don't know about necessarily, unless they're really strong and we can smell them or big enough to see them, like the Wi-Fi. But all of that stuff exists on a magical level and a mundane level. There are like the correspondences of the air and the things floating in the air, and then there's the magical, the energetic parts of that, because matter exists in those two ways. So that's what I really delved into, and I just found a whole new world. I thought I knew air, and I dove even deeper into that invisible ocean and I just fell in love with it.
Yes, I remember when you was offering this class was very close to the launch of the book, and you were talking about how the air is the kingdom of the spirits, is where they move around us. And it's very interesting because when we talk about elements on Wicca or witchcraft, we always talk about fire, because fire is so seducing, and fire can burn people, and fire is life, and is dead, and blah, 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 blah. And water, oh, so fascinating, and air, this everything. And we underestimate the element air. And you in 30 minutes blow all the minds in the room, literally, because you talk, air is first of all, air is the element of life. You are breathing in this moment. You are using, the air is where we move the sound. It's related with incense magic. If you remember Greek mythology, Hades has the underworld, and Poseidon has all the oceans, and the element of Zeus was the air, because he was the biggest one. And we were like, oh, but the underworld, and the ocean, and he has the air, he has everything. He's surrounding all the world at the same time, and he has the wine.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The very top, like Zeus in the air, the very top. His favorite child, Athena,
Yes.
she's top two. She means it's air as well. And Hera is a goddess of air. It's really funny because Poseidon was actually a god of air. He arrived before Zeus did. People theorize they're the same god. And he arrived first with Demeter and Persephone, and then he was the thundering horse god that chased Demeter, and they had the children, including Persephone. But then when Zeus's followers came to Greece, they were like, no, you're the god of moisture. This is the god of air. Okay, we're more powerful. Shut up. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things like that that's like hidden. I'm studying ancient Greek gods right now for another book that I'm writing, and I'm like this close to finishing it. It's so cool. It's like the most wonderful thing to study ever. I'm so passionate about it. But like you see these gods of air everywhere. And then like they fall, like the ones that were at the top of the pyramid, the father of them all, the mother of them all, like they become lower. And some of them like get put into the underworld, literally, or the other world, like you talk about the Fae. And fairy means congealed air, spirits of congealed air. It's really fascinating, like all the cycles that the humans have been through, and all the beliefs we've held, and all the divinities and spirits we've encountered and honored that have like come to pass and come to kind of like go below ground, go underground.
I am fascinated with all of these, fascinated with your eyes too. Tell me about intuitive witchcraft. This is the thing. When I just started learning English 2 years ago. So before that, I really don't read many books, except the books that I received to do some endorsements. So I had the opportunity to I love doing endorsement because it's how I practice my English, reading different things from different people who use different words in different contexts. It's fascinating because I'm learning with the authors directly. But I started taking classes 2 years ago. And from before of that, I had your book in my mind. Like, I want to read this book because the cover, I mean, the zoom with the very small, translucent, transparent eye in the middle is very hypnotic. It's like, I am here, read me, read me, read me. And I was okay with the book, but I remember that I buy the book, but was one of the situations like, oh, I go to use it for practice, but I really, every time that I sit down, I was like, okay, I don't understand this word. Let me go to the dictionary. So I stop the book over and over and over and over and over. And the moment that I finally have the opportunity to read it complete, you offer spellcasting, you offer practice, exercise, these training squares that you have in there that I don't know how to pronounce. You have so many things in the book. It's a whole manual of classes that people can take it. It's not a book that you just take, you read it, oh, I found one or two spells. No, it's a book that puts you to make the practice and the training in your home. How was this process for you?
Wow. Yeah, it was really intense. I mean, so I just put all of my wisdom and knowledge that I've gleaned since I started practicing into it. I just really wanted to make it helpful and empowering to people, but also simple enough that they would understand it, but explain why things are the way they are. Like, why do you use this tool to do that thing? Why do you use an athame to, cut through the circle? Well, we've all heard that fairies don't like iron, and it cuts through literally the air. It cuts through the air, the fabric of the universe, this air realm we're in, and it makes a new space. So, I mean, I included as much of the energetic reasons why as I could, because I'm always asking that question: why is it like this? Why is it like this? What's about this? So it was a labor of love to research it, what I didn't know, which wasn't too much. I mostly wrote that from my heart. I would just listen to trance music, and I would just pour my heart into it. And sometimes you get that feeling like something else is writing the book. Like the spirit comes over you.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I know that feeling. You start with a small idea, and when you notice you are writing whole chapters, and you don't know from where comes the information, because you're like, I don't remember that I knew that.
Yeah.
It's like someone else is taking the control in that moment, trying to use you to express all this information.
Mm-hmm. And the way that they phrase things is more beautiful than I could have put it, probably. It just like comes out of you, like as a creator, it's like this beautiful river that's flowing into the book. And so I just had such a great time, and I was adept in the practices that I wrote about too. I didn't write about anything that I didn't ever do. And I also wanted to include that part about like respecting other cultures, because I think it's a hot topic and people don't really understand. There's a lot of people saying like, I want to do what I want, and like, sure, but don't piss off those deities and those spirits of that really like religion. Don't piss off the people too. And it's like basically their property, and you're like twerking on their property if you don't respect them. And which they probably don't like most of the time. I'm just gonna say that. Twerking is fun though, but it's one of those things that it's not like a universally fun perceived thing. But yeah, it's I just packed so much in there, and I remember writing it, and I was like, you want this stuff too? And they were like, yes, keep writing. And I was like, okay. It's like really longer than it has to be, but
it's a very large book, but it's very informative, and the chapters are very well structured. So when you are reading the book, you feel like you are not just advancing a book, you are like understanding deeper the knowledgement, because any chapter feel like weak. Sometimes you feel in some books like this chapter, oh, this was so boring, so you pass to the next. Here you feel like you are learning all the process, and you are connecting. Every time that you pass another chapter, you are like, oh, this is what I learned in the last chapter. Yeah, and you continue doing that all the book. I has 3 questions that I like to ask to everyone. The first one is, where do you live, and which is your favorite thing about your city?
Okay. Yes, I live in just south of Dayton, Ohio. It's my hometown. And the thing that I like about it is that the people are really nice and real here. I've lived all over the United States, actually. It's I had an opportunity to do that and I took it, and it was fun, but I met a lot of people who weren't very nice in cities across, for one reason or another. But I think that, this little area of Southwest Ohio, we just seem to like have a lot of people who are down to earth and real, and they're respectful, and they strive for equality. Even though I'm in a red state, we all try to rock the vote, make it more purple, make it blue. But yeah, and the people are what make it, and I just love them. And I've been getting more in touch with my community lately, and it's been so wonderful.
My second question is, do you remember, sorry for the noise, do you remember which was your first book on witchcraft or magic?
So do pagan books count?
Yeah,
Books on
yeah,
paganism?
yeah.
Okay, cool. Then, because usually when this question comes up, I'm like, Starhawk, the silver, the spiral dance. But I mean, I read Greek mythology and the mythology of like the pre-Greek times as well, before I really delved into paganism, because it was like really calling to me. It was like my heart. I really feel like a connection with the goddess Astarte, and also with the Mycenaean and the Minoan civilizations as well. So, I mean, my first real book was Edith Hamilton's mythology. I don't know if I'd count that for real though, but because, it's kind of like written in shorthand. It's very, a product of its time. So I would say my first book was actually The Chalice. It's either The Chalice and the Blade or When God Was a Woman. I got both of those around the same time. Do you know those books?
I know the second one, when God Was a Woman. I know that one because I read it in Spanish. The first one, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it's much the same, but it's a little bit different. It's more about specific like the Mycenaeans and whatnot. But they're both like really fascinating, and I just like, they had deities of magic and witchcraft back then, and they had whole lives and practices built around them, and what we have been able to find has just been fascinating to me.
My third question, I always do these questions to my friends. The third one is, do you remember which was your first spell or ritual that you did?
Oh,
Sheila.
My first spell or magic thing that I did, I remember when I was a child, I did something. I did this one thing. I was in grade school, and these people I brought in these little stamps, like it's this little, like you unscrew it and there's a little plastic stamp thing. It was really cute. I don't know. I had like 5 or 6, and I showed my friends, and they took them, and I didn't realize they had taken them, and my mother was mad at me because I didn't know where my stamps were. So I did this thing where I was just like in touch with the angels and the spirits and whatnot. Maybe this isn't a spells per se, but anyway, I like just ask them over and 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 over if they would return the stamps to me or help me or something like that. And the next morning when I woke up, the stamps were on my little desk, and I was like, I don't know how they got there. Like, a lot of weird things happen when you're a kid,
Yes.
And I don't know if that's magic. I kind of perceive it as magic right now. It does sound just like, prayer kind of stuff, supplication. But, it was a very earnest attempt at, getting those back, because I love them. And it was weird that they were there all of a sudden. I don't even know what happens.
Maybe where fairies around moving stuff, and they listen to you.
Yeah, I grew up with fairies for sure. So that's another realm that I'm familiar with. My mother believed in them, and she taught me about them, as well as some other really strange new age kind of stuff. But you know, it's all beautiful, and I love it.
Astrea, you are also a dancer. I discovered that before reading your biography because I follow you on Instagram and I see many times you are with this amazing makeup, with the dress, you are dancing, you are doing amazing stuff. And also you are a blogger for Patios Pagan, that is the biggest platform about paganism and witchcraft practically everywhere. Tell me about, for one side, this part about the dance. That is because dance, from where I come from Amazon, Venezuela. Dance is something is sacred, and all the ways of dancing for us are mystical expression of ourselves that connect us with the gods. The moment that you feel like that moment when you are dancing and you feel for a second like you just disconnect from the world, you disconnect from your problems, and you feel good, like, oh, I'm dancing, I feel good. That moment is total sacredness for us, and you do it. And I really love that. How do you think that the dance in some way influence on your craft or in your life or in your practice?
That's a really good question. You have some of the best questions I think I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, I love dancing. I'm like always the first one on the dance floor, I guess. I don't like disco quite as much. I will still dance to it though, but like almost like or country, I guess. But yeah, I'm a fire dancer. I do all kinds of like beautiful dance. What I love about dance is that it's mesmerizing to me and it's mesmerizing to watch. And it's not about, you know, having a beautiful face or a body, for me at least. For some people it is, and that's okay. But it's more about like showing how someone can like move the energy and like have this freedom and show people how they could have it as well if they wanted to, if they just wanted to practice at it, or they can just enjoy it. That's fine. But so I believe that as a dancer, every movement we make speaks volumes. It speaks volumes when we're still. It speaks volumes when we move a little bit or when we undulate. And so everything has a meaning, a rhythm, an energy of its own. And for me, I like to lose myself in dance. I am a devotee of Dionysus, and I just find it so magical to exert myself, but dance as much as I can and just experience the union with this divinity and like the energy that's right there. And so the funny thing about fire dancing is when you light up on fire, you can't see much around you if it's dark, and it should be dark because that's the only way it's going to be really safe, because you wouldn't be able to tell if you caught on fire otherwise if there was sunlight. But so when it's really dark, you know, you can see this fire and nothing else. It's all around you. And in that moment, your reptile brain freaks out and you forget who you are. You forget your name. You forget where you are. You forget what you're doing. And all you know is like, oh my God, there's fire right here, fire. And so, yeah, you enter this mindless state and you just really feel like you start to move, like there's a bit of programming that comes in before you actually light up on fire. And so you start to move and you realize like you do have some control over this and you can dance with this light. It's literally, you're dancing with light. And so, yeah, it's fascinating. And I still get nervous before I do it. You know, I still feel like my heart beat a lot, but I love it so much, and it gives so many people joy. And I just love to bring that expression out and really like boost the energy of the crowd. Like there's like a little bit of performer magic going on there as well. And so for me, the magic that I experience when I dance is all about, I can burn away anything that I wish to at that time. I can kind of stand in my power. You know, I don't know what sign you are, but if you have any Leo in you, you can really stand in your Leonine power. Are you a Leo, or do you have anything?
No, I'm Capricorn, but my ascendant is Leo. I
Okay.
think it's my ascendant, or is my moon, or is my ascendant. I think that is my ascendant. I always have this discussion because in one I has Leo, in the other one I has Cancer, and they are very close. So I always confuse that part. And every time that someone asks me, I'm like, oh, moon is in Cancer or is Leo. It's one of, by the way, has Leo in the chart.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it has a lot of planets in Leo in my chart.
That's cool. Yeah, I get that vibe from you. I have Saturn in Leo in the 11th house, which is all about showing up in the community on fire, basically. Like that's learning how to do that because, I didn't used to know how to dance. I was like in my mind all the time. I was just learning, just felt cut off from my body. As a woman, I just feel like the message that I was getting was my body wasn't good enough, so I didn't even want to be there. I didn't want to like people to look at me. I didn't want to show up or anything. But it was through dance that I became empowered enough to just be myself and not care what I looked like or what people were looking at me, or not compare myself to other bodies, because that's what society wants people to do, is for you to think that you're not good
And
enough.
anyway, you look amazing. I told you every time that I see you and every time that we interact, I imagine that I can text you at 5 a.m. and you are looking like a fairy in that moment. You always look good. And thank you for elaborating as well. It's an amazing as well. I really appreciate every word that you say. You should write dance magic or something like that. Also, talking again about writing, you write for Patio Spa, and you are a popular blogger there. You write, you wrote very nice post, including you talk a lot about astrology too in your post. How is this work for you? How is your connection with this blog? How this brings you readers? How is your connection with your readers? These kind of things.
That's a really interesting question because, I'm so busy with writing books all the time lately, which I love. I absolutely love it. That I put out a blog like every 2 months now, and that's just so they don't cut me off. Like I love the blog stuff, and I had so many ideas. I have like notebooks full of ideas about things to write about, but time gets in the way sometimes. And it was weird because I've always kind of been on my own with witchcraft and magic. I've been to college a lot and taken heavy class loads, and it's just always been more of a solitary thing, except for a few times. Like I had some circles and whatnot, and I have one or two right now. But yeah, so it was hard to be in the community. Like my ideas are different from most people in the community. For the most part, that was okay. But some people were like, no, we believe that. I was like, silly people believe this stuff. And they were like, no, we believe it. And we're magical practitioners. They weren't mad at me. And then other people just wanted to be trolls. And I don't really get that. It's like so tacky, and it doesn't work on me because I just, oh, you commented on my blog. That does still like raise it up higher in people's views. And it doesn't matter if someone doesn't like it because I have a lot of protection going on, like,
Yeah.
like things like bouncing back to people, whatever, if it's a bad thing. So yeah, it was just weird to see some of the vitriol. And, this was leading up to the actually, I guess this was after Trump was elected, but I just felt like the internet was so divided at that time, and people were taking stands on things that weren't even that important or necessary, or they were just dividing. And so when you said that, this podcast or video cast is all about bringing people together and uniting them in, common understanding, and all of us trying to do our best and whatnot, it's really empowering. And I can't wait to see what else you bring.
Because this is the thing. I understand that here in the United States, most of the readers and people who follow us or watch us in YouTube or in Instagram or whatever, most of them in some way they are new. They are people in their 20s who are starting on witchcraft like from 8 or 7 years ago. When they come and see this so big community and so much egocentric people sometimes, the thing is that I am older than the people think, and I am older, and also I grew up in a similar situation. I grew up in a similar community. I was always in the metaphysical community in my country, and I see these things happening from very child. So in some way, I am like, oh, is this just happening again? I just remember that when I left my country and I traveled here, uh, I was totally new in this country. I don't have friends. I don't knew anyone. My first connection with the city, with New York, was try to connect with the metaphysical community, try to look who are the people around who are in this part of the community. Because these people can be in another country, but when you come to them and you say that you're a brujo, a Wiccan, something, they will identify, oh, you are part of us, you are part of our community, you come from another place, you speak another language, but you are part of our family. So that thing teach me that whatever happens, our community is biggest than our little problems. If I have any problem with you, with Astrea, my problem is with you, not with anyone else. And the day of tomorrow, we will die, we will reincarnate, we will come back, whatever, and the community will stay there. So these problems that we have are human problems, very common problems that sometimes just overdid on internet, but continue. But when you try to take all of these situations happening around and you just try to see it with a different filter, you notice that the problem usually, or is the same problem happening over and over, or is something very small that sometimes we aggravate in some ways. But the community is bigger than us.
Mm. Yeah, well, I think in general, most people are kind when they see a face, they talk to somebody. They're a lot kinder than they are on social media. I think it brings out some of the negative stuff. Like, so I call this, we're living in the age of air. It's the age of information, but it's also
Yes.
the age of disinformation and
Yes.
misinformation and fake news. And people believe what they want to believe because they want to have that bias that they're right without entertaining other people's realities or anything else. So we're in a negative feedback loop. We're seeing that happen. I think it's gonna spin out. I really hope so. And it is a weird time to live through, but I think we just have to maintain our own virtue and not get hung up on the bumps in the road, because we're going to be here for a while and we have a lot of good things to uncover, and we want to empower people and help them. And so I think that people know that. I think they sense that. They have a sense of other people, but a lot of people have inferiority complexes that come up. And
Yes.
this nation is facing its shadow. It's like the Pluto return is next year, so
Yes.
there's a lot of
Yes.
people who are like feeling it. And I have my sun and Pluto conjunct in my first house, and I'm like, bring it on, let's go to the shadow. Like I'm like Bane with the shadows, like I live in the shadow, I come from the shadow. But yeah, so and so I encourage that. I encourage introspection and like entertaining the notion that someone else could have a valid opinion.
Yes. Astrid, also, we talk about your books, about your amazing dancing, and your work being blogger. You, for example, we know, because you just say it, that you're working on a new book, but I don't go to make you questions about it because secrets are best. I will take the information anyway. Or behind the scenes. You are preparing classes, something that you want to share with the people here, with your followers, with mine, with the thousands of people who follow you, the 2 or 3 persons who follow me, something that you want to share?
2000s of people. Yeah. So one thing that I've done ever since I started doing workshops and rituals is that I led this self-love with Aphrodite ritual at a few different events. I've done it online and I've done it in person. And so it came about from an experience that I had with her in ritual just by myself, which is where everything that I do comes from. It comes from a personal experience, and I test out my magic. I know it works. So, but anyways, so I've done this quite a few times, and I want to have it on Zoom. I want to have a Zoom where everyone who wants to can attend the self-love ritual with Aphrodite. And it's really meaningful. It's really wonderful. People have said that it has helped change their lives afterward. Like afterward, sometimes people just like file out of a workshop and they're just like, bye, but this time, like when I do this one, every single person like stays and is like, oh my God, I didn't even know this part of me is awakening. I found so much love and I'm just aligning with that. And it's making so much more sense now. And thank you so much. So I really think that this should be on a broader scale, not just at a festival that somebody goes to. I want to offer it to everybody who wants to have it.
That's perfect. When you have it, we probably will put the link below in the description.
Okay.
Thank you, Astrea, for your time. This has been amazing. I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to talk with you. I was looking for this opportunity from very long time ago. I really appreciate your presence here, everything that you're saying. Your work is really amazing. I really like your books. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. Like, more power to your video podcast. It's wonderful.
Thank you. Everyone, thanks for watching the video. Remember, share with everyone else. If you find Astrea on internet, on Instagram, on Twitter, if you find that Astrea is being part of a podcast like a guest or something, please share with everyone else. Remember that in our community, we don't have many spaces like we want or like we need. So these are small spaces, physical spaces like stores and festivals and virtual spaces are very important for us. It's the way how we grow up. And it's the way how we express, and it's the way how we present in front of the world. So try to promote the podcast, the books, audiobooks, ebooks, the stores where you buy stuff. Try to promote the authors that you like. If you have the books of Astrea, Air Magic, and Untitled Witchcraft, remember, let her some very nice reviews on Amazon and Goodreads, because that's the best way to help your author. If you want that your author do more books, they need to have lots of new reviews.
Yeah, and we get a unicorn once we get 300. So something to look forward to.
Yes. Thank you, and good night to everyone.